In the mid-14th century, a silent killer swept across Europe, leaving entire towns empty and wiping out nearly half the population in just a few years. Known as the Black Death, this pandemic was more than a medical disaster, it was a force that reshaped the foundations of medieval society. As fear spread faster than the plague itself, Europe faced a collapse of old institutions, a crisis of faith, and an economic revolution it never expected. This is the real story of how a microscopic bacterium shattered feudalism, empowered the powerless, and set Europe on the path toward the modern world. The Black Death did not emerge suddenly in Europe, it traveled slowly, devastatingly, along well-established trade routes. Most historians trace its origins to Central Asia, where Yersinia pestis circulated among rodent populations. From there, the disease followed the Silk Road westward, carried by merchants, caravans, and soldiers. One pivotal moment occurred in 1346 at the Siege of Kaffa, a Genoese trading post on the Crimean coast. As plague ravaged the besieging Mongol army, infected individuals, and possibly contaminated goods, triggered an outbreak within the city. When Genoese ships fled the siege, they unknowingly carried the plague to Mediterranean ports. In 1347, these ships arrived in Sicily, and from there, the disease radiated outward. Within months, it spread to Italy, France, Spain, and North Africa. By 1348, it had reached England, and by 1351, nearly all of Europe had been affected. Medieval travel was slow, yet the plague moved with astonishing speed, following commercial roads, caravans, and shipping lanes. Cities became epicenters of infection due to overcrowded housing, poor sanitation, and flea-infested rodents. Mortality rates soared, some areas lost 60% of their population, leaving empty streets, abandoned homes, and shattered communities. The arrival of the plague marked the beginning of one of the most transformative disasters in European history. The Black Death was primarily caused by Yersinia pestis, a bacterium carried by fleas that thrived on black rats common throughout medieval Europe. The disease struck in three main forms. The most common was bubonic plague, identified by swollen, painful lymph nodes, buboes, along with fever, vomiting, and a mortality rate of up to 60%. In some cases, the infection entered the bloodstream, creating the septicemic form, which killed victims within hours, often before symptoms fully appeared. Most dangerous of all was the pneumonic form, which infected the lungs and spread directly from person to person through droplets, making it nearly 100% fatal. Medieval Europeans had no understanding of bacterial disease. Many believed the plague was caused by bad air, planetary alignment, or divine punishment. Physicians, limited by humoral theory, prescribed ineffective treatments such as bloodletting, purging, or herbal fumigations. Others turned to superstition, burning incense, wearing talismans, or forming processions to beg for God's mercy. Authorities attempted early forms of public health, including quarantines in ports like Venice, but these measures were inconsistent and often too late. With no knowledge of germs or vectors, communities struggled desperately against a disease they could not see, and could not stop, allowing the pandemic to tear through Europe unchecked. As the Black Death spread, European society began to unravel under the weight of terror. Families abandoned sick loved ones, clergy fled their parishes, and many towns simply ceased to function. With death striking unpredictably and with unimaginable speed, the normal rhythms of life collapsed. Graveyards overflowed, forcing mass burials. Courts, markets, and guilds shut down. Fear became the continent's constant companion. In this climate of desperation, people turned on those they believed responsible. Jewish communities, long marginalized, were falsely accused of poisoning wells and causing the plague. These baseless accusations led to violent pogroms, expulsions, and massacres across Germany, France, and Switzerland. Other minorities, lepers, foreigners, and even beggars, also faced suspicion and persecution. The Church, Europe's moral anchor, suffered a severe crisis of credibility. Despite prayers, rituals, and processions, the plague did not relent. Many clergy died caring for the sick, others fled, leaving communities spiritually abandoned. This failure weakened the Church's authority and sowed seeds of doubt that would influence later reform movements. Culturally, Europe became obsessed with death. art and literature reflected grim, macabre themes, from dance macabre imagery to haunting chronicles of the time. The Black Death reshaped Europe's psyche, leaving a lasting imprint of fear, fragility, and profound cultural transformation. The Black Death didn't just take lives, it dismantled the very foundations of medieval society. Before the plague, feudalism thrived on a rigid hierarchy, nobles owned the land, and peasants worked it in exchange for protection. But when the population collapsed, this entire system was pushed to the brink. With fields abandoned and labour scarce, landowners faced a crisis they had never imagined. They could no longer rely on the abundant, low-cost workforce that kept their estates running. Desperate to maintain productivity, nobles offered better wages, lighter obligations, and in some cases, even partial freedoms to entice peasants to stay. This created a completely new social reality. Peasants, once trapped in near-lifelong servitude, now held the power to negotiate, and many used it. Some moved to towns, some demanded pay instead of feudal duties, and others abandoned their lords altogether. The ruling elite recognized the threat and attempted to force society back into the old order. Laws like England's Statute of Labourers tried to cap wages and restrict worker movement. But the world had already changed. Such laws were resisted, ignored, or quietly defied. Peasants realized their worth, and no decree could reverse that awakening. The aftermath of the Black Death reached far beyond the economy. It transformed the mindset, culture, and future trajectory of Europe. When nearly half the population vanished in just a few years, people began to question long-standing beliefs about religion, destiny, and authority. The Church, once viewed as the ultimate source of spiritual security, struggled to explain the suffering and failed to protect communities. This loss of confidence opened the door to new forms of religious expression, personal piety, and, eventually, challenges to church authority that would fuel movements like the Reformation. Culturally, the trauma of mass mortality sparked a shift in how people viewed life itself. Art and literature adopted darker, more introspective themes. Images of skeletons, graves, and the famous dance macabre became common, reflecting a society grappling with mortality. Yet paradoxically, this heightened awareness of death also encouraged people to value the present, spurring creativity, innovation, and a renewed appreciation for earthly experiences. Social mobility also increased dramatically. With traditional hierarchies weakened and labor in demand, commoners had new opportunities for advancement. Many accumulated land, secured better contracts, or moved into skilled trades previously out of reach. This growing sense of individual agency helped plant early seeds of humanism, the intellectual movement that would later drive the Renaissance. The Black Death was more than a devastating epidemic, it was a turning point that reshaped Europe's economy, society, and culture. By breaking the foundations of feudalism, empowering the working class, and inspiring new ways of thinking, it set the stage for the Renaissance and transformed the course of history. Understanding this period reveals how even the darkest moments can ignite profound change. If you found this breakdown insightful and want more deep dive history explained in a clear, engaging way, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps bring more powerful stories from the past to life.